Hello, everybody. Uh, Thanks for being patient. I'm a couple minutes late here. I hope you're all doing well. Um, Looks like we got a few people trickling in here, which is great. I just had an awesome workout, so I'm feeling totally pumped up. My workouts are a little different these days. I'm like old school bench press in the gym, just trying to get strong. You know, I'm like 130 pounds. So today I was bench pressing like 120 and I felt so proud of myself. We'll give it a minute or two here more, or maybe just a few seconds. It looks like we got a couple people. So great to have you here. If you're just new joining us, this question answer anything goes. Yeah, we've had so much great response to this. Lots of amazing questions coming in from people. And reminder that these are all recorded. It's just me recorded, so don't worry, nobody can see you. But if you do want to check out after to review some of the answers, or maybe have some friends that might be interested in, some of the things that we're talking about, definitely send them our way. That'd be great. You can find all the recorded content in the back end of my Endurance Hub here. So a couple more people coming in. This is great. I apologize. The last couple of weeks I've had to move this half an hour. Hopefully that hasn't affected anybody's schedule. Back on schedule this week. I may make a permanent shift to 11 o'clock. Depends on what's happening with my kids. But for now, 10:30. So reminder, if you have questions, throw them in the chat box there. So that's the best place. I monitor that throughout. And then we also had some questions texted in today from people who can't make it, but are going to review later. So let's get started. So we got James is throwing the first question out here. James says, do I need an aero helmet and are race wheels worth the money? That's a great question. So first of all, for those who maybe don't know what those two things are, an aero helmet is a helmet that you can buy that's shaped a little bit differently than a traditional helmet that you might see on the road. And it's designed really to improve or enhance the aerodynamics when you're on the bike. And, here's the thing. In a sport like triathlon, even road cycling, it's sort of like a bottomless pit of things that you can spend money on. And, some things are better than others. I think the first thing to consider is your budget. So, if you have an unlimited budget for these kinds of things, then yeah, it's not a bad little fun hobby to get into. And there's lots of really fun equipment that you can get. If you're on a tight budget, an aero helmet probably is getting near the bottom of what you need to spend money on. A traditional helmet that you would get from the store, it has some aerodynamics built into it anyway. And a good aero helmet's going to run you probably $250 to $400. So it's not cheap. Now, let's say you're just starting out. You're going to do your first Ironman this year or half Ironman. You're giving it a try. You're seeing if you like the sport. You're seeing if you want to get stuck into it for a little bit longer. I wouldn't spend the extra money on these types of things. But if let's say you're a seasoned veteran, maybe you're trying to qualify for Hawaii in your age group, which is highly competitive these days, or you're trying to qualify for ITU Worlds or something, maybe you have a time goal that's really important to you. Well, then, yeah, every little bit helps. And the more aerodynamic you can get on the bike, especially for something like an Ironman, which is 180 kilometers or 112 miles. Yeah, if you're saving a little bit of wattage by, getting to the same speed, saving some wattage, that's helpful. Or if you're moving a little bit quicker, even if it's, 0.1 or 0.1 of a mile an hour quicker, or, whatever an aero helmet's going to give you, that might even be generous. It'll give you a little bit. The other thing to remember with these types of aerodynamic fixes is it's not a one size fits all. The aero helmet that works for one person might not work as well for the other. A lot of it has to do with positioning on the bike. So first and foremost, the most important place that you can invest time, energy, and a little bit of money into is making sure positionally you're good on the bike. So, you need to, the gold standard for how to figure out whether your body is aerodynamic on the bike is to get into a wind tunnel. Now we're talking real money here. We're probably talking about $500 to $1,000 an hour to get in there and get work done. You can also do field tests if you have like a velodrome or, you know, a consistent flat piece of road. You can kind of hold wattage steady and change positions and see how much faster you're going. I'm getting pretty high level here. I mean, for most people, they're not going to do that. My point is, just buying an aero helmet and throwing it on your head might not actually make you faster. You have to be wearing it properly, and your body has to be in a good position. So, okay, back to the question, do I need an aero helmet? I would say no initially. If you're just getting started, beginner, trying it out for a year, don't bother. If you're getting more and more competitive, maybe you have some qualifying things, yeah, you know, spend a little bit of extra money, get all the free watts or the free speed that you can get. And that's helpful. So same thing goes with race wheels. Now, race wheels are a whole other can of worms. You can get up in the, you know, $3,000-$4,000 range for a set of wheels. And like an aero helmet, race wheels are, you know, designed primarily to be aerodynamic. So you'll see often in the bigger races, if you see pictures or on TV, especially of the pros, the wheels that they're riding on their bike look pretty fancy. On flatter courses where there's not a ton of wind, you'll often see what we call, a disc wheel at the back where the entire wheel is covered in. So it looks like a solid wheel. There's like, you know, it's not like the traditional spoked wheel. And at the front, you might have something a little different. You might have like 3 or 4 carbon spokes, or you might have like a really deep kind of carbon, you know, rim with normal spokes in there. And if you look really closely, often those spokes are what we call bladed. So they're like kind of flat to really cut through the wind. So a good set of race wheels, like, again, if budget's not an issue, go for it, because you're going to get good free speed from a really good set of wheels. The other important thing in the wheels is the bearings and the hubs. You know, they're not all created equal either. If you get a cheap pair of wheels, you know, on a cheaper bike, they're not going to run as smoothly as a really high-end set of race wheels. So again, it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. You just want to finish an Ironman, check it off the bucket list, one and done, I'm out of here. And, you know, you're budgeting it, then don't bother. You can get through an Ironman without race wheels and without an aero helmet. You're getting stuck into it more. You got qualifying for maybe a big event, and it's competitive in the group you're in. Well, yeah, like, get in there, do whatever you need to do to make it happen. But it's a great question. And like I said, you know, I for some people, they like, you know, spending money on fancy cars. And some people like spending money in this sport, and there's no shortage of things you can spend money on. So it's kind of fun. Okay. James says, what type of workout did you do? Oh, referring to my workout. All beach muscle workouts these days. That's all I care about. I just want to be able to go to the beach, you know, like, you know, pump up the biceps a little bit, you know, like, I'm just kidding. Well, sort of, not really. Just a weight workout, just a strength workout. I found pushing heavy things around as I, you know, get into my second half century of life. Did I do that right? Yeah. You know, pushing heavy things around makes me feel really good. Changes brain chemistry. My body feels good. I get a good sweat on. So at least 2 or 3 times a week, I'm in the gym, and feels good. James says, any good at-home workout tips unrelated to swimming, biking, or running that I can do that you recommend? So yeah, I like this, James, because sure, maybe there's time constraints with people. Maybe you live in an area where you don't have a pool and it's winter and you can't ride your bike outside. I mean, there's lots of reasons why people might not be able to do swim, bike, and run. So what can you do at home? Well, yeah, I mean, if you don't have a home gym and you're just literally dealing with what you have at home, there's still a ton of body weight type exercises that you can do. It would take me, you know, hours to kind of go through everything. But what I might recommend for you, James, is a really simple routine, a body weight routine. So some body weight squats, push-ups. Oh my God, push-ups, how good are they? It doesn't matter really how strong you are. You can kind of get to failure with push-ups in 10, 20, 30, certainly 40 reps. The body will start to really feel that. So and push-ups are great. You have to hold your body really well in a nice planking position, so you're getting kind of engagement through the core. You're working lots of the bigger muscles in the upper body here, like your pec muscles and biceps and triceps. You can do all kinds of variations of push-ups. I went through a mad push-up phase years ago. And one night, I think I did 1,000 push-ups spread out in intervals. So it took me an hour to get through it. And, I think I got injured after that. But I don't know why. I just kind of got like hooked on push-ups. So something like push-ups, body weight squats, calf raises, tricep dips, on the corner of a couch or a chair. You can do what we call elevated hip raises, where you put your feet up on say a dining room chair and you lift your butt up in the air. You can do hip bridges. You can do side-to-side lunges. Oh my gosh. I mean, the world is your oyster in terms of that. And maybe, James, after this call or after this question and answer, send me a message in the Circle community, and I'll list out some exercises that might be useful for you, because yeah, there's lots you can do without having a gym or without doing swim, bike, and run. It's a really great question. Michael, nice to have you here with us today. Hope everything's going well. I think, Michael, I think you're from Hawaii, if memory serves. Hopefully things are good there. Any recommendations for a race bike? I have a friend letting me borrow his race bike. It's a Canyon, and is willing to sell it after my race if I like it. Is it a good deal? Well, that's a great question, Michael. First of all, I'm not sure if it's a good deal because I don't know how much he's asking for it. But from what I know about Canyons are great bikes. Lots of top athletes riding Canyons right now. What I would do is, it sounds like it's a friend, so hopefully they're, pricing it accordingly, fairly, I would say. You don't want your friend to be shortchanged either, but you also you don't want to have to spend more than you need to. But what I would recommend is, I think Canyons are easy to order online. So just go and check out what that make and model is worth brand new. And then that's probably your starting point. So, how much mileage is on this thing? Are you going to buy it and then need to get like a $500 repair because you need the drivetrain replaced? Like things like that. I would just check, what is it worth new? How much mileage is on it? And what's the asking price? And then you can kind of go from there. But Canyons definitely are great bikes. You said it's a race bike. That could mean any number of things. Is it a road bike? Is it a triathlon bike? If it's a triathlon bike and you're getting into triathlon, then that's probably a great choice. If it's a road bike, but your plan is to do, 2 or 3 years of, heavy duty triathlon with half Ironmans and Ironmans, I might reconsider that one. I definitely look for a triathlon bike if that's your plan. So I think there's a few considerations before you actually go through with that purchase. But from what I know about Canyons, they're fantastic bikes, and again, easy to sort of check online and see what the pricing would be on something new and go from there. Good question. Maybe, I don't know if you have a picture of it, or maybe you can give me some more details and I can comment. James Anderson says you guys should do body weight workout one day as a webinar. Yeah, you know what, James, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Oh, James says 1,000 talking about my push-ups. Yeah, don't do that. It's just me being an idiot. Let me tell you the set. This is cool. Okay, this is how I did my set. Let me see if I get this right. 20, 15, 10, 5, 20, 35, 45, 50. This is how I did that set, James. I did 5 push-ups, then took a break, then 10, then 15, then 20. And I kept repeating that. And I think I did it on, so that's 50 push-ups. So every round I'm doing 50. So 10 rounds is 500. So 20 rounds is, this is how I did it. So 20 rounds is 1,000 push-ups. And I did the whole set, I think, on 3 minutes. 3 times 20 is 60. That's how I did it. So I did 5 push-ups on, say, 30 seconds, 10 on 30 seconds, 15 on a minute, whatever adds up to 3 minutes. And then I would just keep repeating. I was watching a good Netflix show too. So, that helped. Okay, Jamie, nice to see you on here. Hi, Jasper. I'm after getting my pace down to 150 per 100 for a continuous distance when swimming, and I feel as I'm stuck at this pace and can't get any quicker. Do you have any tips? Oh, Jamie, this is such an awesome question. Thank you for asking, because I think this is something that a lot of people fall into, is they kind of get stuck at a pace with swimming. Let me tell you, I think one of the most effective things you can do, a lot of people, when they swim, they're like, I'm going to swim 1,000 meters. They jump in and they just swim back and forth for 1,000 meters. And the first 50 to 100 meters is great. And then the next 800 to 900 meters is slow, and the stroke falls apart and it looks worse and worse, and you get slower and slower. And people generally don't really improve if they do that. What I would suggest is do sets of 25, sets of 50s, and no longer than that for a little bit. So maybe you do like, 30 times 25 meters, where you swim at a pace that's faster than what you want to get for a 150. So this should be pretty easy to figure out. A 150, so a 2 minute per 100 is 30 seconds per 25. So on this one, you're about 27.5 seconds per 25 to hit a 150. So, okay, so that sounds about right. 27.5. Yeah, that's right. So, maybe do a set where you do 30 times 25 meters, but you try and hold between 23 and 25 seconds, and you go on 30 seconds. So you only give yourself 5, maybe 10 seconds rest. And you just keep repeating. And then once you get good at that, throw in some 50s. So maybe now you're doing, 20 times 50 meters, where you're trying to hold a pace faster than the goal that you want to end up in. What I think about swimming, the thing with swimming is the stroke usually falls apart very quickly for people. It's really hard, if you haven't grown up with swimming, to stay on good stroke mechanics. But when you break it up to really small chunks like that, you get these small little recovery resets, like every 20, 30 seconds. It allows you to get back on really good stroke mechanics. So you're ingraining in your nervous system maybe a better stroke pattern, but it also ingrains into your nervous system and the rhythm of the stroke, a faster swimming. And if you do that over and over, like at least a couple times a week, over time, that overall pace is going to shift. Now, this isn't just me making this up. This is like pretty standard swimming practice. If you've ever been part of a master swim group, or a varsity swim team, or a swim club, what you'll notice is the majority of the time, they're never just getting in and swimming 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 meters at a time. Sure, sometimes they'll do really long sets, but it's really rare. More often what you'll see are sets of 50, sets of 100, sets of 75s if it's in a 25-meter pool, sets of 200s. And they're just hitting these repeats over and over and over again. And we call them short rest intervals. So they're only getting, 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds rest, and they have to keep trying to stay on a pace. So that's building out kind of one energy system. If you're a 1,500-meter swimmer at the Olympics, for example, a typical set for you might be 20 or 30 times 100, where you're trying to hit your goal 1,500-meter pace or a little bit faster than that, and you're only giving yourself 5 or 10 seconds rest. So you keep just ingraining in your system that faster pace. Now, if you're a sprinter, it looks totally different. Let's say you're trying to win the Olympics in the 50-meter or the 100-meter sprint. Well, the training's different. You might do some all-out 25s, or some starts, or some finishes, or flip turns, or stuff that's really going to dial in that speed. And then you might get a much longer rest interval. That's more typical for sprinting. But for something like triathlon, where you're really just trying to build up your ability to swim pretty fast for a long time, you have to get really good at what we call these threshold sets. So, those short rest intervals are really, really going to help you kind of move that needle. So I would try that. Maybe Jamie, maybe message me in the back end there of the Circle community, and just remind me, and I'll give you some examples of sets that you can do that I think will be really effective for you, moving forward. So you also want to balance that, with a little bit of endurance swimming. So all of your swimming doesn't have to be like that. Let's say you're swimming 3 times a week. I would make 2 of them like that, where you're doing sets of 25, sets of 50s, like really short, punchy, over and over and over and over again, doing your best to stay on with good stroke mechanics and good speed. And then you have another workout that's maybe a bit longer. So, some pulling sets where you're doing 200s, 300s, 400s, and you're not as worried about how fast you're swimming those. Those are more just to build up some good endurance. So that's a really good question, Jamie. I think it's very specific, and I like that. And so I appreciate you, asking that question. That's great. These have been some good ones today. Anybody else want to jump in there? Oh, James says, thanks. I'm heading for a swim now. I will definitely give shorter reps a go. Jamie, real quick before you go, are you in a 25 or a 50-meter pool? Can you answer that real quick? And I'm going to give you a set to do today. Real simple. I'm going to give you a set. I'm going to type it in the message thing so you can see it. So do a warm-up. I don't know what your warm-up is, like 3, 4, 400 meters, 500-meter warm-up with some mixed strokes, nice and easy. Okay, so I'm going to type it in here. So warm up. Oh, it's a 20-meter pool. Oh my gosh. I used to swim in a 20-meter pool. It was so strange doing 5 laps for 100. So this is good you told me this, because the set I was going to give you isn't going to work. So warm up, do say 400 to 600 meters, easy mixed strokes. Okay. Okay, that's your warm up. And then your main set. This is what I want you to do today. I want you to do 10 times 20 meters at a pace faster than your goal pace, okay? And take 5 to 10 seconds rest between, okay? So that's your first set. And then you do 100 meters, nice. And, oh, no, do 120 or you'll end up at the wrong end of the pool. 20 meters, nice and easy. Okay, and then your second set is going to be, let's do 6 times 40 meters at like holding same pace as the 20-meter intervals with let's do 5 to 10 seconds rest again. And then you're going to do your 120 meters easy. You see the pattern here. And then do 4 by 80 meters and then do 2 by 100 meters. Does that make sense? So this is a really simple set where you keep increasing the distance, but you're trying to hold on to that speed you have for those 20-meter reps. Little sets like that are going to be really effective for kind of moving you like up the speed, the speed thing. And then, that's kind of an interesting set because you only got to handle so much at one time. But a more traditional set would be just to throw at you like 40 times 40 meters on, let's say we go on a minute for that one. So it's going to take you 40 minutes and, you just kind of get into a rhythm and your goal is to hold a pace time, not a pace time. Your goal is to hold a pace that's, say, 5 seconds faster than what that actual goal pace. So you're just burning that into your system. You're getting like 5-10 seconds rest each time so you can keep repeating it, but it gets hard. That's the point. This set should feel hard. James says, wow, amazing. I will try that swim workout next time I'm in the pool. Yeah, for sure, James, but just make sure like you'll probably be in a 25-meter pool. It's actually quite rare to have a 20-meter pool. I can't believe it. It's bringing me back to like some real awful workouts at 5 in the morning in my 20-meter pool. Got good at flip turns though. Very cool. In New Zealand, Australia, mostly New Zealand, there's a high abundance of 33.3 meter pools. And that's a real mental mess because they look like 25-meter pools. And I can remember swimming in these pools and you look at them and you just, your eye can't really tell the difference between a 25-meter pool and a 33.3. Maybe if they're side by side, obviously, yes. But when it's just like a standalone, you're like, oh, it must be 25 meters. And you get in and you start doing the same sets and you're like, oh my gosh, I was swimming so slow. Like, it's so depressing. And then when you learn that it's actually like, significantly longer, it also then messes with you. Anyway, it looks like that might be the end of our questions here. If anybody's got any more, pop them in there. Otherwise, that'll be good for today. Reminder: you can check out all these on our recordings in the back end here, and check out all the other amazing stuff we got in there. We got like master classes and we got webinars. and such a great community growing. Over 1,400 people now, if you can believe it. It's very exciting. So looks like this might be it. And thanks again, people, for joining in here. And it's always, yeah, thanks, Michael. Thanks, James. Always great to have you all here. And have an awesome week of training, everybody. We'll see you this time next week. Right on. Happy training.